Robbie Deezle here with Nerd News, and I am sitting with a very special guest today, Miss Susan Cummings from Tiny Rebel Games. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for being on.
Yeah.
How's the con been going so far?
It's been a lot of fun. I haven't actually done many Comic-Cons before. I've been to San Diego, and that's about it.
That's a dream.
Yeah, so that was cool. And we've done a lot of Doctor Who conventions the last year and a half or so. But this is cool seeing something like it's a bit larger. It's like 60,000 people or something like that. It's
super diverse.
Man, I'm kind of glad we're up here in the gaming area. It's a little bit chilled out up here.
Yeah, very mellow for sure.
Yes.
So the biggest thing that I guess we'd say Tiny Rebel Games is known for right now is the Doctor Who Legacy game.
That's right.
Really, really good feedback. There was a time where I was absolutely addicted to it.
Awesome.
How's the feedback?
You need to bring that time back.
I know. I just, she had it on her phone, of course, and then I had it on mine. She's broken her phone probably 100 different times, but we got the cloud save, so we pick up right where we left off at. How's the feedback been at the con so far?
It's been great. It's exciting to see how many people already know about the game, which is good. It means we're doing something right. And the people who haven't have been really excited to find out about it. And it's a good time to get involved in the game. When it launched, there were 2 doctors and maybe 30 companions, and now we have all the doctors from the series, which we're really proud of. And there are about 160 allies that you can put into your TARDIS. So it's a big game, over 100 hours now.
Absolutely.
We just launched a load of stuff this week. 3.0 came out a couple days ago, and that launched the Sonic Adventures, which is a new premium storyline built around the first Doctor and his signet ring. Nice. And we launched Doctor Who Legacy Kids for young children. That. Yeah, which we're really excited about. About a year ago, we launched something called Anna's Playground in the fan area.
Yes.
And this was basically inspired by Anna's Playground, which we built for one of our players' kids.
Oh, really?
He was like 6 years old and was having some emotional stuff and was really into the game, but was having a hard time with the mechanics. So we built a level for her.
Right on.
Now we decided to build a whole area of the game for her. And the BBC supplied the art actually for this. They'd actually created this really cute art style for kids, and they haven't really done anything with it.
Right.
So they let us use it for the game.
Yeah, that's got to be pretty huge. Do you have full cooperation of the BBC?
BBC have been great to us.
That's awesome.
We love working with the BBC. We work closely with all aspects of the BBC, from the brand team in Cardiff, who approve all of our story. All of our script stuff gets scrutinized like anything else. They actually let us write a lot of story for Doctor Who, which is really exciting.
All original stuff?
Yes, yeah. Nice. When we started the game, we were kind of told to stay away from story, understandably. We had 6-7 months to make a game, and they didn't know us, or the brand team didn't know us. So when we launched, we had the Santoran storyline, which was very shallow at best.
I got you.
Right?
Okay.
And we were kind of criticized for that too. Like, the only thing missing is story. It's like, yeah, we know, we really want to do it. And then as they got comfortable with us and saw how much the fans loved the game, they've gotten more and more accommodating of us actually writing story.
Right.
And so Lee, my husband, who's our creative director, has written all of the story in the game. With the exception of, we had some additions by George Mann. We actually had write the War Doctor stuff that we added Cinder. But we have the Brigadier storyline. The Hunt for Greyhound 1 was the first time we added our own story into the game.
Nice.
And he wrote Bigger on the Inside, which is our sort of 8-bit pixelated adventure about the TARDIS getting infected with the virus. And Sonic Adventures, which we launched this week, is our storyline, and Chapter 4 storyline, all about the Master. So we have every version of the Master now too, not only every version of the Doctor.
I noticed that. I seen that it was a release not too long ago where I noticed Missy was in the artwork.
Missy's in, yeah. So we also launched new content alongside the show. So last season, we were the first to ever do this. Every weekend we launched a new episode, a new level alongside the new episode.
Okay.
In most cases, it was based on that episode. Once in a while, there was one that just didn't make any sense for a game. Like Flatline, for instance, we didn't do anything with. But we did that every week, which was really ambitious, and we accomplished it. And we were crazy enough to agree to do it again. And so we're currently working on the first few episodes of the upcoming season.
Right
so
on.
we're doing the same thing again every week. You can go on Sundays onto your game, and it'll download a patch with new content.
With new content, right on.
Yeah.
Now there's not very many Doctor Who games in existence. What pulled you guys towards making not only just a Doctor Who game, but kind of like a puzzler adventure type of game?
Let's see. On the puzzle adventure side, we'd worked on a puzzle game before. We worked with there's a gentleman named Steve Faulkner who made Puzzle Quest. You probably know.
Yes, absolutely.
So we loved Puzzle Quest, and we got to know him, and we reached out to him at our old company, and we said, "Hey, we want to work with you. We love what you're doing." Because my husband and I have been making games for 20 years now, or so. So Puzzle Kingdoms came out of that, which we worked on with him. And we kind of enjoyed what we did, but we kind of felt like we wanted to go further with that puzzle thing. It was always in the back of our heads. And then we started to notice games like Puzzle and Dragons and games like that were doing detachable mechanics. And we started to realize, hey, we could do more with this. And then the Doctor Who thing came about because we wanted a property for our first mobile game, and we just sort of got very lucky. We approached the BBC initially about Sherlock, which was very complicated, and they said about Doctor Who, and we're like, really? Yes. So we pitched them on exactly the game we shipped.
Okay.
They loved it, they got it, they never interfered, and they let us make the game we wanted to make.
Off and running.
Which is really cool. Yeah, they've only really ever pushed back where it comes to what makes sense for canon, and that's exactly why they're there, is to tell us that they know better than we do.
Right.
That something doesn't work, or he wouldn't say that, or he'd say it this way instead, and especially when you're trying to write dialogue for 13 different doctors and make them feel right, which I think Lee's doing a really good job of doing, of capturing that. It's really complicated, and so it's been really helpful having that sort of back and forth with the BBC about it.
Right. Right on.
But I was going to say, one other thing is that we think that the puzzle mechanic works really well. You don't want a shooter.
Yeah.
And you don't want to, people think that they want like a Telltale adventure game, was a lot of feedback when a Doctor Who game was announced. But that means one Doctor and one companion for the most part. You're not going to be able to get all of this into a 3D adventure game unless you're going to put a few $100 million into it.
Yeah, and I think Doctor Who as a whole would probably work best as something like an RPG, which would be way too expensive from the mobile standpoint.
So we've extrapolated down to a gem mechanic, the same way that D&D pioneered dice for being able to have cool combat without having to draw it.
Right.
We've said the gem mechanic is really tactile and works really well on a tablet, and so it's the same thing.
Right.
And we treat it that way.
I do enjoy the aspect of the game to where, even though it's not necessarily your traditional action adventure type of game, you do have the best elements of just about everything, because you do have the RPG elements where you can level your characters up and they gain new abilities, and you are on a quest essentially.
Yeah, we have a talent system that lets you spec out your team, based on how you like to play.
And that's been one of the newer additions too, right?
The perk system, we call it. Yeah, absolutely. So that's new, and in the Sonic Adventures that we just launched, we've added some new enemy abilities like cracks in time.
Oh, really?
Which are little cracks on the board that you can't move, and so then the gems will float in around them.
Nice.
They're immovable. You can't use any abilities to get rid of them. It just sort of reshapes the board.
Right.
And we added bombs that you have appear a few turns to match before they explode. And we've also added some new ally abilities, like the ability to touch a gem and basically select the row to get rid of, select a column to get rid of, select a cross shape to get rid of, or just being able to individually select gems is a new thing that we've added.
Right on. Big expansion.
I know, we keep growing, and it's bigger on the inside, right?
Typically.
It's blinding, and
let's talk about Tiny Rebel Games for a minute, because you guys have also worked on console games too, like what was it, San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto?
So our background, my husband was a producer at Rockstar, so he produced on San Andreas and GTA 4, and he basically redesigned Bully when the company was about to cut it. He spent a year in Vancouver on that.
That's one of my favorite games ever.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite games.
So it's a good thing he managed to help save that.
Yeah.
And I started at Rockstar. I did the Japan deals and stuff for GTA to get that out in Japan.
More global market.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then I started 2K Games. I was one of the few people who founded that.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
and
awesome.
my role was primarily to build a product portfolio there. And so I signed BioShock when it was like a few pieces of paper, basically. I'm on to saying I signed Borderlands on a verbal pitch.
Yeah.
I signed XCOM and bought Civilization from
Some
Atari.
of the biggest games games around right now.
We built 2K Sports. It was a fun time in my career, and that was where I started getting more and more involved in production and not just business.
Okay.
So when I left there, I really made that jump. That I was like, all right, enough. I've done enough deals. Now I'm going to focus on making things.
Right on.
So since that time, I focused more and more on being a producer and less on trying to find things to sign.
Right, I got you. Is Tiny Rebel going to focus mainly on the mobile front going forward?
Both, actually. We just announced that we're executive producing Flat Out 4.
Right. Okay.
It's called Flat Out 4 Total Insanity, and that's with a company called Strategy First that now owns Flat Out, and they're working with a team in France called Kiloton that's also doing WRC, and so they're going to be doing the next Flat Out, and we're basically overseeing the creative design and production, and also sort of their community interaction. Like, one of the things we've really pioneered with Doctor Who Legacy is getting the community involved in everything since we launched it. Like, we really treat it like it's the fans' game. We're the caretakers of the game. And so tell us what you want has been very much our attitude. And we mitigate that, right? You can't please everybody, but we take as much feedback as we can to count. And so that's been the strategy with Flat Out as well, is that we want to hear from the community. Flat Out 2 was awesome, total carnage. Flat Out 3 was weak. So how do we go back to what was awesome about the game in the first place? And so we just announced that we were doing a community vote thing where you can vote on your favorite tracks from Flat Out 2 to be recreated for Flat Out 4.
Put them in
and we're gonna have weekly Twitch broadcasts where there's like insight into the dev process and stuff. So, so that's what really excites us at Tiny Rebel is talking to people who are playing our games.
Right on.
Because for years we couldn't do that, right? Like GTA was awesome to work on, but you ship it and then you hear what people think of it, right? Because we're very secretive too. And so this is kind of like it's the new world where there's no excuse for really not pleasing your players, because there's no reason not to get them involved from the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Do you guys rely more on the beta testing type of thing, or do you utilize social networking in terms of reaching out to the fans? And the
all of that. Yes.
Right
we have like a select group that we sort of get involved in like beta testing early on, and we also have a weekly Twitch broadcast for Doctor Who Legacy every Thursday, and we're very active on Facebook and Twitter and all the social media channels.
All right. It's Thursday at noon,
Talk
right?
Constantly. Thursday at noon.
Right.
Adipose TV, the Adipose TV channel.
Make sure you check that out.
Yes, it's fun. It's so much fun, and this crew, the posse, has sprung up out of this, and they always come to see me at events. I had a couple people come to see me yesterday who are part of the Twitch channel, and when I was at Anglicon, they showed up there. We've had meetups in the UK. It's the Doctor Who community, right?
I know,
huge. They mother me at events.
That's awesome. Last question.
Yes.
With how expansive Doctor Who Legacy is and can be, would there be more focus on growing the current game, or would there ever be plans for a sequel down the line?
For now, I think we're focusing on expanding the game. We've definitely thought about it. There's certain things that we just can't do within this game. It's just going to get to be too big and too cumbersome for devices. So totally wouldn't rule out doing another one. We have another puzzle game in the works called These Are Our Fears, which is sort of our baby right now, and which is really neat. And it's going to be completely community driven, and it's basically about like what everyone's afraid of, like what our community's afraid of, and being able to sort of conquer those fears in a mobile setting.
Awesome.
So,
Awesome. Yeah. Well, you're on, I would imagine, Twitter and Instagram and all those. You want to throw some handles
Twitter.com/Doctor Who Legacy. We're at Doctor Who Legacy on Facebook. Doctor Who Legacy game.com is where you can find everything, including our official forums. And the Twitch broadcast is twitch.tv/The Adipose TV on Thursdays at noon Pacific.
Right on. Well,
thank you so much. This was so much fun.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. You guys make sure you download the Doctor Who Legacy game. It's in the App Store and Google Play right now. I'm Robbie Deezle. We're done.